Ross Tucker, host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. He also works as a color analyst for CBS in Westwood One. He'll be in the Westwood One booth Saturday night, Buffalo. It's the Patriots and the Bills. And then he'll be working sidelines for the Monday night game with the Cardinals and the Rams. And he joins us on the program. Always great to have you. We appreciate you taking some time. Give me the loss that would have the most fallout. If I said Cowboys, Rams, Bucks, Chiefs, Bills, or other?
Ooh, that's a great question, Dan. I'm gonna say Cowboys, maybe. I'm gonna go Cowboys. My initial reaction was the Rams, just because it would be an awful look if they took a step back after the trade they made for Matthew Stafford. I mean, they won a playoff game last year. They got to the divisional round last year. That would not be a good look for McVay and Stafford if they weren't able to win a playoff game this year. But they're kind of committed to those guys, right? There really wouldn't be a whole lot of fallout. It would still be McVay and Stafford next year. Cowboys are a little bit different, because if they lose to the 49ers, which, by the way, I think is a distinct possibility. I just recorded the Ross Tucker podcast. That's the one underdog I picked to win outright, Dan. I picked the Niners to win that game. Because of the amount of teams that are interested in Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn, I wonder if Jerry Jones doesn't think, I don't want to lose that guy or that guy, whichever one he chooses, and elects to make one of them the head coach and moves on from Mike McCarthy. You have to acknowledge there's some possibility of that if the Cowboys lose this game, especially if there's any type of game management, clock management issue, anything like that.
But if I look at Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn, which of those coordinators can they least afford to lose?
It's a good question. The thing I come back to on that is, how do you really know what Kellen Moore is like as a head coach? He doesn't have any experience with it. I guess I would probably say Kellen Moore. I think he's done a pretty good job. I agree that Dan Quinn done a nice job this year, but I feel like they've got some pretty darn good personnel on defense that he's been able to take advantage of. Trayvon Diggs, year 2. Micah Parsons is a rookie. I don't know. They're probably even. My guess, though, is that there'd be some hesitation from Jerry Jones to make Kellen Moore the head coach. So he would probably move on from McCarthy and go to Dan Quinn. Again, there's a whole lot of hypotheticals, but that's my guess.
You played in cold weather. You played in Buffalo. You played in New England. How big of a deal is this to the players who play, and what players in particular, if so?
Really big deal to quarterbacks, receivers, and kickers. Somebody told me this week, I didn't realize it, I started in one of the 10 coldest games in Buffalo Bills history. It was 2004. It was actually at Cincinnati, if you can believe that, Dan. And I remember the game distinctly because I went out before the game, pregame warmups, with just a T-shirt and shorts on, and Chad Johnson was yelling at me like, "Hey, buddy, you're going to be cold." And I was like, I'm all right. You know what's funny, by the way? I mean, I guess I was 315 pounds or whatever, and I was maybe 25 years old. I really wasn't that cold. Now I'm 250 pounds and 42 years old. I'm freezing. Like I get 5 degrees colder every year. I mean, but by the time I'm 70, I'm going to move to like Puerto Rico or something. Like I know why people go south. I get way colder every year. You know what I remember about that game? So first of all, as an offensive lineman, one thing guys would do to protect their skin is you rub Vaseline on your skin to protect the layers. It's funny. I just saw on Twitter, even here in Pennsylvania, Dan, they said, don't go outside for more than 30 minutes because your skin could get frostbitten. Well, what are the NFL players are going to do? What are the Bills and Patriots are going to do? They're going to be out for more than 30 minutes. And I distinctly remember after that game, it stung taking the shower. You had to start with like a cold shower and then slowly move it up because your skin was like so raw that if you went to a hot shower, it felt like it burned.
Well, that's
But
frostbite,
as a
Ross.
center,
That's the onset of frostbite.
yeah, I guess. I mean, it's not good. I never wore sleeves though. Two more things you need to know, Dan. Number one is it makes the ball a lot harder and bigger. The ball expands the colder it is. So I can remember a couple games I started at center where I would if it was really cold in Buffalo, I would go the stuff they spray on your ankle before they tape your ankles. I'd say to the trainer, hey, act like you're taping my ankles. And I'd have them spray the stuff on my hand because I didn't know if that was legal or not to have that stuff on your hand. So I'd have them spray the ankle spray stuff on my hand just so I could have a better grip. But I totally understand why some people at some point might if there's a little bit less air in the football. I'm not going there, but I'm just saying because it's much harder to grip if you have smaller hands, the colder it is. It makes it harder. There's more fumbles because the ball pops out, harder to catch. The ball is like a rock.
I also wonder the philosophy game plan with the Patriots this time around with this kind of weather in Buffalo. Can New England employ the same kind of offense that you don't have Mac Jones throw the football in this game against Buffalo?
I think they should try. I really think they should try. Mac Jones has not played well during the last month of the season. I think if they can play keep away from Josh Allen, who was lights out in the last matchup with the Patriots, that would be a pretty darn good strategy. And here's the thing. The Bills play more nickel defense than any team in the NFL. They almost never have three linebackers out there because they love their nickelback, Taron Johnson, who had that pick six against the Ravens last year in the playoffs. That's one reason why I think Belichick went heavy in the first matchup with the tight ends and ran the ball just to get the Bills defense, which, by the way, is ranked number one in the NFL, just to get them to have to do something they don't like to do. Just to make them have a guy out there they don't want to have out there. That's not normal for them, having the three linebackers out there.
We're talking to Ross Tucker. You can listen to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. He'll also be working the Buffalo Patriots game and also working the Cardinals and the Rams game as well. The Rams game is interesting. Cowboys game is interesting because I think both of those teams could lose. I wouldn't be surprised if either lost. But then there's part of it that I wouldn't be surprised if they won comfortably. I just think that that's the way they're going to be, as we go through the playoffs, if they continue to advance. It's really hard to be consistent where you're playing a really good opponent and you gotta win a game where you're not going to play your best. If I said the Rams or the Cowboys weren't going to play their best, which one has a better chance of winning?
The Rams. I would say the Rams simply because I don't feel like the Cardinals are playing their best football right now. They've only won one of their last 5 games. Yeah. Just not good. I mean, and obviously they can change everything around and get hot during the playoffs, but it's not a good way to be going into the postseason. Both their running backs, James Conner and Chase Edmonds, are banged up. We'll see if J.J. Watt can do anything, but it really does feel like the Cardinals have been a different team ever since Hopkins got hurt. Meanwhile, Dan, if the Cowboys don't play their best, they're losing. I mean, the Niners are undervalued. They're 10-7. They lost the 2 games where Jimmy G didn't start. They lost a game where Jimmy G got hurt against the Titans. That's 3 losses right there. I think they lost the game where Deebo Samuel didn't play. The Niners, when they have all their guys, they're a good team. And you don't even have to take my word for it that the Cowboys don't feel good about themselves. I mean, Dan, why else would they have all their starters playing in the fourth quarter last Saturday night against the Eagles practice squad guys? Whether they say they wanted to build up their confidence or they wanted to get on a roll or a rhythm, the Cowboys playing Dak and all their starters into the fourth quarter last Saturday night against the Eagles, that told us, I think, that they don't feel great about how they're playing. They think that they're a little off.
I know that you know the Eagles quite well. They didn't beat anybody who was any good this year. and now you're going to face the Buccaneers in Tampa. Weather will probably be an issue with rain. How do the Eagles beat the Buccaneers?
Yeah, they gotta just run the ball right down their throat. And really, they're calling for 20, 25 mile an hour winds. This is the best thing possible for the Eagles. I mean, the windier it is, the more the advantage goes to the Eagles' ability to run the football and Jalen Hurts' ability to run the football. I have a tough time picturing the Eagles winning the game unless Jalen Hurts rushes for over 50 yards. So the windier it is, the better. The harder the rain, the better. I'm sure Brady will still somehow figure out something, but that plays to the Eagles' favor. They've been able to run on everybody, and I think the Bucs have given up over 100 yards rushing in 4 of their last 5 or 6 games. So the Bucs are not, their run defense is not what it was. That said, Dan, I do the Eagles pregame as well for WIP in Philadelphia, and say it out loud, okay? Like sometimes in life you have to say it out loud. Head coach Nick Sirianni and quarterback Jalen Hurts in their first playoff games ever beat Tom Brady and the defending Super Bowl champ Bucs on the road. I mean, I have a tough time with that. Do you realize, Dan?
Wait, are you saying the Eagles have no chance?
I think they have a chance.
Okay.
I have a tough time actually picturing it happening. If you had me on Monday, I have a tough time picturing saying the Eagles got that done. It would be incredible on so many levels if they did, but wow, that would be, I mean, you talk about, and I know the point spread's not that bad. Last time I checked, it's like 9.5. So it's not like a gigantic upset, but you have to admit, the Eagles season win total coming into the year was 6.5. People thought they'd win 6.5 games. If they were able to beat Brady in the first playoff game, that would be one of the more surprising playoff results in recent years.
Safe travels. Always great to talk to you. And are you going to rub Vaseline on your arms in Buffalo?
No, I'm not. But thank goodness Steve Tasker's on the sideline for us, and I'm in the booth, and I'm going to lobby hard to keep the window shut because 0 degree, Dan, 0 degree. It would be a better broadcast for the listeners if I was warm. I mean, it's about the listeners, Dan.
But I want you to give us that feeling. That's your job as a color analyst. You should be out there with no jacket on, short sleeve, and let us know that we could almost feel it through your bones when we're listening to you.
That's why Tasker's on the sideline. He's the best in the business.
Because he's tougher. Tasker is tougher than you.
Yes. I'm not tough anymore. I freely admit that. I don't need to be tough anymore. I used to play in the NFL. I was tough. Now I just like to eat and drink and call football games.
Did you ever urinate in your uniform?
How do you know that? Almost every game.
What?
Oh, yeah, pretty much every game. Oh, yeah. So here's the way it works. You're drinking so much Pedialyte and Gatorade that I was good through the first half, and at halftime I would go take a leak, whatever. But by like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Dan, I had to pee so bad. What were my choices? Like call a timeout and walk up to the locker room? No.
What's the etiquette?
You sit down on the bench. Here, let me see. You sit down on the bench, okay?
Wait,
and then you get a couple of those like Gatorade.
You're reenacting this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You sit down on the bench, you get a couple of those Gatorade towels, okay? And then you take 2 Gatorade towels and you put it, in your crotch because you want to try to absorb as much of the urine as possible. And then you just go. And you soak up as much, you squeeze the area to get as much out of your pants and onto the Gatorade towels. You put the Gatorade towels in the trash. Yes. You don't put them back where somebody else would use them. But Dan, the last thing I wanted, fourth quarter, 4 minutes left. I didn't want to feel like I had to pee. Like I didn't want to be like, I got to block Bryant Young or Leroy Glover, but I really feel like I have to pee. No, you pee like a man in your pants, and then you go out there and you play.
Thank you, Ross.
See you, Dan.
Okay. That's Ross Tucker.
You pee your pants like a man, then you go out and play.
Yeah.
That might be the next bet.
That's
if you lose, if you say the Eagles have no chance, now you have to pee your pants in a towel.